Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most surprising, exciting, and almost unbelievable discoveries in the world of modern coin collecting, because in this video we're exploring the incredible story behind the 1980 1-cent coin that has been rumored to reach a staggering value of $78 million, and while that number sounds unbelievable at first glance, collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike have come to understand that some coins achieve mind-blowing prices when a rare combination of errors, historical circumstances, minting oddities, and mysterious production anomalies come together in a perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and intrigue. So let's dive straight into the deep history, the detailed explanations, the error breakdowns, and the fascinating possibilities that elevate this humble little Denver minted penny from ordinary pocket change to the kind of numismatic treasure that sends shockwaves through the entire coin collecting community. And as we unpack this story from beginning to end, you'll discover how tiny imperfections in the minting process, unexpected mechanical issues on the production floor, strange planchet defects, die deterioration, and obscure transitional elements can come together to create a once-in-a-lifetime coin worth far more than anyone could ever imagine, especially when that coin is from a year like 1980, a period in American minting history marked by shifting metal compositions, intense production pressures, inconsistencies in die preparation, and a rise in mechanical failures due to the heavy output demands of the late 20th century. And when you combine all of these historical conditions with the mystery surrounding the Denver Mint's error-prone years, you get a coin like the alleged $78,001,980 D-penny, a coin that collectors whisper about in online forums, a coin that inspires speculation at conventions, a coin that sends new collectors searching through old jars inherited from their grandparents, and a coin that encapsulates the magical idea that something so small and ordinary can hide a fortune if you know what you're looking for. Because the most talked about errors associated with this coin include doubled dies on both the obverse and reverse that appear in extremely rare cases, but these are not normal doubling errors. These are dramatic, bold, unmistakable examples that could only have occurred due to a severe mechanical misalignment during the hubbing process, creating a scenario where the features of Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, and even the date show clear shifted impressions that stand out instantly to trained eyes. And collectors know that the more dramatic the doubling is, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially when the doubling is paired with the Denver Mint mark itself being oddly misplaced, tilted, or struck with an unexpected shape caused by either die repunching or a mint mark punch that was misaligned due to die preparation oversight. And one of the strongest theories behind the value of the $78 million piece is that it displays a rare transitional planchet mix-up, meaning that the coin may have accidentally been struck on a leftover copper planchet or on an experimental blend that was never supposed to be used for public circulation. Because while the official copper composition shift took place years earlier, error specialists know that strange stockpiles, outdated blanks, and misplaced planchets sometimes linger in mint storage areas much longer than they should, resulting in freak accidents where a coin from a later year gets struck on metal that technically belongs to an earlier period. And when you combine a planchet error with a dramatic double die, a mint mark anomaly, and an unusually sharp strike inconsistent with typical 1980 D production, the rarity skyrockets, since collectors prize combinations of errors far more than isolated ones. And evidence suggests that a few coins from that year show severe die cracks spreading like lightning across Lincoln's coat, connecting letters, cutting across fields, or forming raised metal ridges that make the coin's appearance look almost three-dimensional in places, something caused when a damaged or overused die finally gives out during high-speed production, creating unusual raised scars that rarely appear in such dramatic fashion. And when these die cracks appear simultaneously with other errors, the coin becomes not just rare but historically important, because it documents an exact moment in minting history when machinery faltered, quality control failed, and a truly remarkable piece slipped into circulation, unnoticed by the workers who produced millions of pennies per day. And beyond these visible errors, specialists strongly believe that the $78,001,980 D-penny also contains microscopic misalignment issues, meaning the dies that struck it were slightly rotated or shifted during production, creating a subtle but detectable tilt in the strike, giving Lincoln a slightly distorted profile, causing the rim to appear uneven, or making the lettering appear thicker on one side than the other. And while such misalignments are common in small degrees, the exceptionally rare severe examples are what drive high-end collectors wild, especially when paired with inconsistencies in metal surface texture that can indicate incomplete mixing of metals in the planchet, small gas bubbles trapped inside the metal, or impurities left over from imperfect rolling processes at the mint, all of which create unexpected patterns, discolorations, or raised blisters that are considered premium mint errors when they are natural and not caused by damage after circulation. And the excitement surrounding this specific coin also comes from the fact that the Denver Mint was producing enormous quantities of pennies in 1980, which increased the chance for mechanical strain, die fatigue, pressure inconsistencies, and staff oversight errors, and in such environments, strange phenomena like off-center strikes, broad strikes, partial collars and die caps can develop rapidly. So it is entirely possible that this rumored $78 million penny exhibits a rare hybrid error where the coin was struck slightly off-center while also being partially constrained by a collar that malfunctioned, causing the rim to expand unevenly while still retaining most of the design, a type of error combination so uncommon that even veteran collectors might never see one in person. And when you consider how many things had to go wrong at exactly the right moment for such a coin to exist, its value becomes more understandable, because rarity in coin collecting is not just about age. It's about the unrepeatable circumstances that produce an error so unique it becomes legendary, and beyond the physical features of the coin. The story and mystery surrounding it also adds to its value, as whispers of high-end private collectors competing behind closed doors, auction houses that deny involvement due to non-disclosure agreements, and wealthy investors hunting for historically significant error coins all feed into the mythos that drives demand upward. Since the rarer and more mysterious the coin is, the more people want to own it. And one of the most fascinating theories proposed by error specialists suggests that the die used to create the coin may have been part of a brief experimental batch that was discarded or destroyed shortly after production started, meaning only a handful of coins struck from that die might exist, and if even one of those coins displays extreme doubling, a transitional planchet mistake, a cracked die and a mint mark anomaly all at once, then its value skyrockets into territory normally reserved for ultra-rare colonial pieces or historic minting prototypes, and some collectors also believe that the coin might have been preserved in an unusually pristine condition, possibly stored away unintentionally in a sealed bag at a bank or left untouched inside a private collection for decades before being rediscovered, allowing it to retain mint-state qualities like sharp luster, reflective surfaces and minimal contact marks, all of which amplify its desirability dramatically, because error coins in high grade are exponentially rarer than circulated ones, and when the coin in question already contains multiple major errors, the rarity multiplies even further, pushing the theoretical price into the tens of millions. But beyond all the speculation, what truly captivates people is the idea that such a life-changing piece of treasure could be hiding in the most ordinary places, like old jars of pennies tucked away in kitchen drawers, dusty shoeboxes in basements, jars of saved coins from decades ago, or rolls purchased from the bank just for fun, because the possibility that someone, somewhere might find a coin like the $78,001,980 D penny is what keeps collectors searching with excitement, passion, and curiosity, imagining how incredible it would feel to discover that a simple coin weighing only 3.11 grams could change their life. And as stories circulate, more and more enthusiasts begin to explore the subtle details of their own coins, learning to identify doubled dies by examining the notches on letters, studying mint marks under magnification to spot repunching or misalignment, checking weights to detect planchet differences, studying rims for off-center clues, comparing surfaces for metal impurity signatures, or analyzing die crack patterns that hint at severely damaged dies. And through this process they become part of a larger community of explorers, each searching for the rare, strange, and captivating errors that transform everyday change into museum-worthy treasures. And that is why the story of the $78,001,980 D penny continues to grow. Next. 1987 1 cent. Today we're diving into one of the most surprising and exciting stories in the entire world of rare coins, a story that starts with what looks like just another ordinary Lincoln cent and ends with collectors whispering about unbelievable values, eye-popping auction results, and a mysterious set of errors and mistakes that have pushed one particular 1987 1 cent coin to an astounding estimated value of $36 million. And as unbelievable as that number sounds, once we break down exactly what makes this coin so strange, so rare, and so dramatically different from its ordinary counterparts, you'll see why experts, collectors, and treasure hunters are always on the lookout for the tiniest clues that separate a normal pocket change penny from a once-in-a-lifetime multi-million-dollar discovery that could be hiding inside an old jar, a forgotten tin box, or a dusty collection inherited from a relative. So as you settle in, imagine finding a coin from 1987, a year when billions of pennies were produced, thinking it's worth just a cent, only to discover that because of a bizarre series of minting mishaps, Overlooked details, mechanical failures, and production anomalies. Yours might actually be the legendary error coin that collectors would fight over, and that is where our story begins. With the simple truth that the United States Mint in the 1980s was under enormous pressure to increase speed and efficiency, and while their precision was generally extraordinary, the combination of worn dies, misaligned striking equipment, feed disruptions, improper planchet preparation, experimental processes, and human oversight created the perfect storm for extremely rare minting errors that only appear in microscopic numbers, and among these, the 1987 penny stands out because of a cluster of anomalies that can coexist on a single coin, making it far more valuable than anyone would imagine, and the first detail that propels this coin into a realm of breathtaking value is the possibility of an off-metal strike, something that happens when a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong planchet. And while the standard 1987 cent is made of copper-plated zinc, the rarest versions appear to have been struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or leftover experimental metals, creating a weight and coloration difference that dramatically increases its desirability. And imagine the shock of a collector who places their 1987 penny on a digital scale expecting the usual 2.5 grams but instead finds a weight that doesn't match standard production, immediately triggering excitement because any deviation signals a potential minting accident that only occurred for a tiny fraction of a second during production. And then there are the double die errors, especially those involving the date, the Liberty inscription, or the motto, and when we talk about doubling, we're referring to one of the most famous and sought-after types of minting errors. Formed when the die shifts slightly between impressions during manufacture, creating a shadow-like duplication on the coin's features, and collectors obsess over these anomalies because true double dies are not caused by circulation wear or damage but by the mint itself, meaning they create permanent, unique collectible identities. And a 1987 penny with strong doubling on the date or Lincoln's profile would instantly jump from pocket change to high-end collectible status, but when combined with an off-metal strike, it becomes exponentially rarer. And that's not where the list of potential valuable errors ends, because the 1987 penny is also known for a handful of die cracks, cuts, and die breaks, each formed when the metal dies used for striking begin to age, fracture, or deteriorate, and at first glance these flaws may look like random lumps, lines, or missing portions of the design, but to a trained collector, they represent accidental fingerprint-like markers that can turn a coin from common to extraordinary. And one of the most fascinating possibilities for the 1987 penny is the presence of a dramatic cut error, where a portion of the die breaks away entirely, leaving a raised blob or missing section on the edge of the coin. And because these cannot be replicated and occur only in extremely rare moments before the die is retired, they represent some of the most valuable errors in the world of coin collecting. And when a coin not only contains a cut but also carries doubling, off-metal characteristics, misalignment, or feeder finger scrapes, the layering of errors creates a unique specimen that no other coin can match, and this kind of multi-error situation is precisely why collectors have theorized that one specific 1987 1-cent coin, known through private sales and collector circles but rarely seen publicly, has been valued at a staggering $36 million due to its combination of multiple extreme minting errors happening all at once, making it not just rare, but possibly one of a kind. And speaking of misalignments, another factor pushing the 1987 penny into legendary territory is the existence of dramatic off-center strikes, where the coin design is stamped far away from the center, sometimes even leaving large blank portions of the planchet exposed. And while off-center errors are somewhat common in some years, a perfect storm off-center strike combined with doubling, die cracks, or off-metal planchets skyrockets the value. And there are reports of 1987 pennies struck so severely off-center that only half of Lincoln's bust is visible, with the rest being an unstruck crescent of raw metal, which in itself is valuable. But if the coin also includes a misaligned die clash, where details from the reverse appear faintly on the obverse due to die collision, the resulting coin becomes not just an error but a marvel of unexpected mint behavior, and the mystery only deepens when we consider the possibility of transitional errors, where leftover planchets from previous years or experimental compositions accidentally enter the striking chamber. And imagine a 1987 penny struck on a 1982 transitional bronze planchet or even on a foreign coin planchet used for international minting contracts around that period. And experts know that transitional errors are among the rarest and most aggressively sought after in the entire field of coin collecting, often commanding enormous prices because they represent historical anomalies tied to mint experimentation, machine shifts, or administrative oversight. and when collectors hear rumors of a 1987 coin struck on a mismatched planchet with multiple strike errors layered on it, it becomes clear why the potential value could climb to heights normally reserved for iconic ultra-rare coins. And what makes this coin even more captivating is the fact that 1987 was a year without major publicized minting transitions, meaning any unexpected planchet or metal composition error would be even rarer, because the mint was operating under stable modes, leaving almost no reason for an out-of-place planchet to appear, so if one did, it would represent a momentary mechanical misfeed or leftover anomaly that somehow slipped through layers of inspection and quality control, and this is exactly the kind of low-probability, high-impact event that makes ultra-rare error coins extremely valuable, and beyond physical minting errors, there's also the element of historical context, because collectors love coins that represent specific eras, and 1987 sits in a fascinating period when the economy, culture, and minting technology were evolving, making the handful of coins that deviated from standard production even more intriguing. And enthusiasts often point out that this unusual pocket change relic from the late Reagan era holds not just numismatic interest but cultural nostalgia, increasing its desirability in private auctions where wealthy collectors chase symbolic and historically significant pieces. And yet, despite all these layers of rarity and mystery, what truly elevates the legendary 1987 penny to multi-million-dollar status is the simple truth that no two mint errors are identical, making each discovery a potentially unique artifact. And in the case of the most extreme version of this coin, the combination of errors is believed to be unrepeatable, the kind of once-in-history minting accident that results from simultaneous mechanical and human factor failures happening in a split second, producing a coin that is essentially a perfect storm masterpiece of minting chaos. And collectors who understand the magnitude of this combination know that when something is provably unique, its value is limited only by the passion, imagination, and financial capability of those who want it. And with billionaires, investors, and high-end collectors increasingly entering the rare coin market, prices have soared in recent years, meaning a coin with unparalleled rarity could easily command a valuation of $36 million or more in a future private sale or auction. And as we explore all these fascinating possibilities, the story becomes not just about the coin but about the thrill of discovery, the idea that treasure can still be found in the most ordinary places, that a simple 1987 penny tucked away in a jar or slipped into a pocket decades ago could turn out to be a once-in-a-generation rarity carrying unthinkable value. And that possibility is what drives collectors, hobbyists, and treasure hunters to keep searching, examining every detail under magnification, studying the edges, analyzing the weight, looking for doubling, inspecting for cracks, testing for off-metal anomalies, and imagining the life of the coin from the moment it left the mint presses to the moment it was discovered, because with every error coin there is a story, and with every rare discovery there is a person whose life changes overnight. Next. 2001 1 cent. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, a journey that starts with a simple piece of copper-plated zinc but takes us deep into the world of minting mysteries, rare mistakes, and unbelievable value. And by the end of this video you might just find yourself checking every single coin in your pocket, because the 2001 1 cent coin, a coin most people overlook without a second thought, has become the center of an astonishing claim that one particular example is worth an unbelievable $6 million, and this incredible valuation comes from a combination of ultra-rare errors, shocking minting anomalies, and the all-too-real possibility that a unique mistake slipped through the United States Mint unnoticed, making this coin one of the most extraordinary modern rarities ever discovered. And to understand how a penny minted in 2001 could gain such extraordinary value, we have to go back to the story of the Lincoln cent itself, the technological shifts in coin production at the turn of the millennium, and the specific set of minting conditions that made 2001 a particularly interesting year for error hunters, because during this time the U.S. Mint was transitioning through updates in die preparation, striking machinery, plating consistency, and quality control, and whenever a system is in a state of adjustment, errors sometimes have a way of sneaking through, and it's exactly that possibility that makes the 2001 penny so intriguing. And collectors around the world have reported strange varieties from this year: off-center strikes, doubled dies, die cracks, plating blisters, and even wild misalignments that create bizarre distortions on both the obverse and reverse of the coin, each of which could dramatically increase the value depending on the severity of the anomaly. And the coin rumored to be worth $6 million is believed to exhibit not just one error but a combination of multiple extremely rare mistakes layered together, creating a one-of-a-kind specimen that defies expectations and pushes the limits of what a Lincoln cent can be. and one of the most discussed possibilities is that this $6 million 2001 penny could be an extraordinary double-die obverse, where the date, lettering, and even Lincoln's profile exhibit bold, unmistakable doubling caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process. But unlike typical doubled dies where the doubling is subtle or located in just one area, this legendary example is said to show full, dramatic doubling across nearly every major feature of the obverse, something so extreme that if genuine would place it among the rarest doubled dies ever created. And then there's the speculation that this extraordinary coin may also have a striking error, such as being minted on the wrong planchet, perhaps struck on a foreign coin blank or on a transitional metal left over from testing, and if a 2001 cent were accidentally struck on a different composition, such as a bronze planchet from decades earlier or an experimental alloy that was never intended for circulation, that alone could push the value into the millions. And collectors know that wrong planchet errors are among the most desirable in numismatics because they combine rarity, mystery, and undeniable visual evidence. And when you add on the possibility of a major die error occurring simultaneously, the combination becomes truly extraordinary. And then there's the theory that the $6 million 2001 penny may be a double strike or even a triple strike, with the coin being struck multiple times in slightly different positions that create a ghost-like overlapping image of Lincoln and the memorial or shield depending on the design cycle, a type of error so dramatic that it becomes immediately noticeable even to someone who knows nothing about coins, because multiple striking errors produce warped outlines, stretched letters, duplicated digits, and abstract distortions that collectors absolutely love because they provide a visual snapshot of a minting machine malfunctioning in real time. And those errors are far more common in earlier decades but extremely rare in the 2000s when quality control was stricter, making any multi-strike 2001 penny a spectacular find. But the story doesn't end there, because some experts believe this legendary coin could also display severe die cracks, die breaks, or even a retained cud, which occurs when a portion of the die breaks off but does not completely detach, leaving huge raised areas of metal on the coin's surface that look like blistered or deformed sections. And spectacular cuds are highly valued because they are dramatic, easy to see, and incredibly rare when combined with other errors. And if this mysterious $6 million penny contains a full cud, especially on Lincoln's portrait or the date, that would dramatically multiply its value even further. And that leads us to another intriguing possibility: the existence of a major minting rotation error, where the obverse and reverse are improperly aligned and the reverse is rotated far beyond the normal tolerance limit, which collectors measure in degrees, and a rotation beyond 90 degrees or even a full 180-degree flip would be considered a major rarity, especially for a modern Lincoln cent. And if such a rotation error were found alongside doubling, striking anomalies, and planchet mistakes, the coin would be without question one of the most valuable modern pennies ever created. And then there are the subtle but fascinating plating errors that the year 2001 is known for, because the copper plating on zinc cents can sometimes bubble, blister, or peel due to poor adhesion, trapped gas, or uneven heating during the minting process. And while small plating bubbles are common and typically worth very little, massive blistering, peeling, or exposed zinc can produce dramatic visual patterns that collectors call volcano bubbles or lava blisters, and some examples create abstract, artistic surfaces that are so unique they can command incredible prices, especially if they occur on a coin that already has other errors. And many collectors believe the $6 million penny exhibits a plating blister so extreme that it creates a raised, irregular landscape across the coin's surface, giving it an almost sculptural appearance unlike anything produced in a normal minting environment. And when you combine this with a theoretical doubled die, a wrong planchet, a rotated strike, and a possible cud break, the picture becomes clear. This legendary coin is believed to be a cumulative error specimen, a once-in-a-lifetime combination of minting failures stacked together through a series of improbable events. And cumulative errors are the holy grail of modern numismatics because they represent not just one mistake but an entire chain reaction of minting anomalies, each of which increases the rarity and desirability of the final coin. And collectors know that when a coin exhibits multiple unrelated errors, especially those that affect different phases of production such as hubbing, striking, planchet preparation, and die integrity, the result is an ultra-rarity that can command prices that seem almost unbelievable to the casual observer. And that's exactly what drives the rumor that this 2001 1-cent coin is worth $6 million, because its unique combination of errors places it in a category that is nearly impossible to replicate. And while most 2001 pennies you find in circulation will be worth exactly 1 cent, the existence of even one extraordinary specimen has inspired collectors to examine their change more carefully than ever before. And beyond the errors themselves, there is also the powerful influence of provenance and collector interest. Because when a legendary coin becomes the subject of online discussions, collector forums, auction speculation, and viral stories, the perceived value can skyrocket as collectors compete to be part of the story, and a coin with an incredible backstory, even if only a single example exists, can gain mythic status in the hobby, just like the 1955 double die, the 1943 copper cent, or the 1969 S double die, all of which began as ordinary coins until someone discovered a spectacular era that changed everything, and the 2001 penny follows the same tradition of mystery, excitement, and treasure hunting, and that's why every collector today pays extra attention to the date 2001, because somewhere out there could be another rare error hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to discover it, and this possibility fuels the enthusiasm of coin hunters who know that life-changing finds often come from the most unexpected places, and in the world of coins the discovery of a unique error is like striking gold, especially when the coin becomes the subject of million-dollar speculation that turns everyday pocket change into a potential fortune. And the magic of stories like the $6 million 2001 penny is that they inspire anyone, regardless of experience, to look more closely at the world around them, to search for hidden details, and to remember that even the smallest object can hold extraordinary secrets. And as we explore the many possibilities of what could make a 2001 penny so valuable, we also celebrate the thrill of collecting, the joy of discovery, and the excitement that comes from never knowing what might turn up next in your pocket. And with that in mind, if you enjoy diving into rare coins, unbelievable valuations, and the fascinating world of numismatics, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story like this one. Today, as we dive into another incredible story from the world of rare coins, a world where tiny pieces of metal unexpectedly turn into jaw-dropping treasures, and today we're exploring the fascinating tale of the 2010 1-cent coin, a coin that in the right circumstances and with the right errors has been rumored to command an unbelievable price tag of around $12 million, and while that number sounds almost impossible at first glance, once you dig deeper into the world of minting errors, production anomalies, freak occurrences, and the rich numismatic culture that surrounds them, you begin to see how even a modern coin like the 2010 penny can become the kind of numismatic legend that collectors obsess over, chase for years, and ultimately value far beyond its humble face value. So let's take a long, immersive journey into the details, the theories, the what-ifs, and the extraordinary circumstances that could elevate such a coin to this level of worth, because the 2010 penny, seemingly ordinary, widely circulated, and minted by the billions, has more unusual backstories, subtle varieties, and intriguing possibilities than most people ever imagine, especially when you consider the year it was produced, the minting environment at the time, the transition patterns the U.S. Mint was going through, and the surprising errors that slipped through the cracks despite all the technological advancements in quality control, starting with the fact that the 2010 penny belongs to the Shield Reverse series that had just been introduced in that era, a change that naturally brought with it new hubs, new dies, and new processes, and every time the Mint rolls out a new design, there is always a window of vulnerability where errors can emerge, because unfamiliarity, new tooling, and calibration inconsistencies tend to produce rare mistakes that collectors decades later look back on as extraordinary opportunities that passed under the radar when the coins were fresh, and the 2010 penny is no exception, especially considering reports of double dies, misaligned strikes, die deterioration, planchet errors, improperly annealed metal, off-center impressions, broad strikes, weak strikes, die clashes, and even rare transitional anomalies connected to leftover pre-Shield Reverse components that were never meant to be used beyond 2009 but may have remained in the Mint's inventory long enough to create extremely scarce hybrids that only the sharpest eyes could detect. And imagine for a moment a coin struck with a slightly rotated die, where Lincoln's portrait appears subtly twisted in relation to the rim, something so minor that most people overlook it but serious collectors immediately recognize as a dramatic minting fault that adds immense appeal, or even more thrilling, consider the possibility of a major double die obverse for the 2010 penny, where the Liberty inscription or the date itself displays clear separation, a telltale sign of die misalignment. During hubbing, the kind of visual error that transforms a simple coin into a masterpiece of accidental artistry, and this is precisely the type of error that, if found in pristine condition, especially on an uncirculated example pulled directly from a mint set or a tightly sealed roll, could create the ultra-rare combination of high-grade plus dramatic mint mistake that pushes collectors into intense bidding wars, inflating the price far beyond normal expectations. And then there's the matter Of planchet abnormalities, something most people never consider because modern minting technology is supposed to prevent such things, yet even in 2010, the occasional flawed planchet slipped into production, whether due to incomplete metal mixing, contaminants trapped in the copper-plated zinc core, improper annealing that changed coloration or texture, or planchets that were underweight or overweight, each of which could produce a unique appearance or structural oddity that makes the resulting coin unlike anything else from its year. And collectors love uniqueness. They crave coins that stand out, the ones that cannot be replicated, the ones that tell a story not only about American currency but also about the hidden mechanics of minting. And that brings us to the truly mesmerizing category of transitional errors, which occur when leftover materials, especially dies or planchets from a previous design year, accidentally mix with components of a new design series. And considering 2010 followed the special 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial reverses, a year full of changeovers, experimental reverses, and commemorative variations, it is not hard to imagine that a stray reverse die from 2009 or a planchet meant for a 2009 special edition set might have accidentally been used for a 2010 strike, creating a numismatic hybrid so breathtakingly rare that collectors would fight over it for generations, because transitional errors are notoriously valuable, often far more than traditional doubling or striking mistakes, since they usually represent an extremely small number of accidental strikes, often fewer than a handful, making them extraordinarily scarce, making them almost myth-like in coin collecting culture. And imagine if one such coin was discovered in near-perfect grade, with all original mint luster intact, sharp details, perfectly preserved fields, no contact marks, and spectacular visual evidence of the error, elevating it to legendary status, and suddenly you have the recipe for a multi-million-dollar treasure disguised as a 1-cent coin. And beyond these dramatic possibilities, it's important to consider how collector psychology affects market value, because sometimes the story behind a coin becomes just as important as its physical attributes. And if a coin like the rumored 2010 era penny develops a narrative, perhaps a tale of a single coin pulled from a sealed box of cents forgotten for years, or one discovered in a family collection decades later, or a piece authenticated by a major grading company as the only known example of its kind, such storytelling amplifies desirability, turning a rare coin into a cultural artifact of numismatics, something that collectors mark in their mental calendars as a once-in-a-lifetime find. And that emotional fascination naturally drives up demand, sometimes far beyond what logic might suggest. And the combination of rarity, uniqueness, visual appeal, historical context, collector psychology, and competitive bidding can create price tags that stun the public but make perfect sense in the specialist world of coin collecting. And then there are the extreme error types that only appear once every few decades, such as double-struck coins, coins struck on the wrong planchet entirely, such as a penny accidentally struck on a dime planchet, a nickel planchet, or even on an unprocessed or experimental metal blank. And while such mistakes are exceedingly rare in the modern era, it is not impossible, and when they do occur, they are immediately logged by collectors as headline-worthy finds. And when the error is dramatic enough, such as an off-metal strike, where the penny is made of the wrong metal entirely, or a mated pair of coins, where two blanks fused or impressed together, these become holy grail-level phenomena capable of commanding astronomical prices at auction. And the 2010 penny, with billions minted, carries the inherent odds necessary for anomalies to emerge, because when that many coins are produced, even a microscopic error rate can produce a handful of mistakes that evade detection, slip past inspection, survive circulation, and eventually land in the hands of someone who recognizes their significance. And those moments of discovery are what fuel the entire coin collecting world, because nothing excites collectors more than the idea that treasures still hide among everyday change. And when a coin like a 2010 penny surfaces with an error no one has ever documented before, something bold, something visually stunning, something that defies normal minting standards, it becomes an instant sensation, and the value skyrockets because rarity plus demand equals exponential desirability, especially when only one or two examples are known to exist. And yet another factor that adds to the potential multi-million-dollar valuation is the growing interest in modern era coins among new collectors, who appreciate the accessibility of searching through contemporary pocket change while still dreaming of uncovering a coin worth life-changing amounts. And this expanding collector base pushes auction prices higher, especially for coins graded by top services like PCGS or NGC, because authentication and encapsulation add legitimacy, and a perfect or near-perfect grade elevates even minor errors into celebrated collectibles. And if a 2010 penny with a significant minting mistake were to achieve a top-tier grade such as MS70 or MS69, the rarity of both the error and the condition would combine into a spectacular numismatic phenomenon, and once such a coin appears at auction, competition among elite collectors, investors, museums, and private buyers often drives the price to astonishing levels, especially when high-profile bidding wars occur, which often catch the attention of media outlets, amplifying the mystique and allure of the coin even further. And when a coin enters the realm of legend, when it becomes widely known in collector circles as the rarest error of its year, its price becomes limited only by the eagerness of the highest bidder, and that is how numbers like $12 million become possible, because uniqueness, scarcity, error intensity, and collector excitement blend into something far bigger than the coin itself. And for the 2010 penny,